What? You're still muted, TK. Muted. Hey,
dude, this feels like a conference call. That's pretty much what it feels like.
Right? Our weekly Zoom sesh is that what we're calling it now?
Well, you know how, like, if you've ever been on one of those, meetings or conference calls, right, and you're like double muted because your phone's muted and the conference line, but anyway, yes, yeah. Well, welcome back. welcome back, man. Oh man, how are you doing? How is everything with you?
Hanging in there. It was a pretty, last week I feel like if I'm gonna use these as therapy sessions, and I'm sort of venting like, oh, and I had this terrible, influencer conversation, and I was trying to monetize and sponsor and blah, blah, blah. This week, I had some really good chats, working with a larger company that I can't talk about just yet, and hopefully being able to produce some cool audio commentary.
Nice.
So some, again, like in kind of keeping with me focusing on the ear candy, which always sounds gross when I say the phrase ear candy, because like...
we run that kind of this is the type of show we run.
Get stuff from your ears, like that's
ear candy.
Yeah, the ear candy.
Well, you also did say run into some ear candy,
and it sounds like the euphemism I would use with like my 5-year-old daughter. Like, oh, you gotta clean out that ear candy. Okay. Anyway, the good thing was, like, I had conversations this week that were way more productive. Than last week. So we'll say that's progress, and I'm feeling a lot better about that, even for stirring up some drama about popular smartphone manufacturers, which we're going to dig into a little later into the show.
in a little bit later in the show, and I think that's a good thing. But I think, as you remember, and everybody knows in the chat, we got to do the thing we do.
Oh, shoot. Where is my...
We got to work on this. Juan, okay, we got to work on this. This got to be cool, man.
No. Because the thing was, like, I was talking with Scott Peachy. About some Sony stuff, because I think he was actually seriously angsty about whether or not he should try to buy an Xperia, and I was just saying, like, oh, well, here's some of the things I like about the camera. He's like, oh, but I don't know. And so it's over here on the desk. Hold on. If you want to start yours, I just have to unplug my headphones for just a second.
Okay. So while Juan can't hear us, and I'm going to say a whole bunch of bad things about the guy right now as he's plugging himself back in.
Okay, good. I'm back. Okay. I mean, the mic never went down. It's just my headphone cables won't reach, and I didn't. It's faster to just unplug the headphones from my little recording unit than it is to take them out of my ears.
I'm with you, but this is why I got the cans and you got the plugs.
Yeah, I have hot ear. I don't know if you've ever seen the IT crowd. There's like literally 2 people in this chat that might get that joke.
I have hot ears. Okay. Well, I have no update. So if we're gonna stick with what I have and what you have.
This week on Sony Watch, no update for Android 11. The Xperia 1 Mark II stays on Android 10. Tune in next week for another installment of Xperia Watch.
The missing update. I forgot who I saw. Somebody got an update, also the Android 11 on their Xperia 5 Mark II in Europe. Yeah. I was like, seriously?
Oh, I mean, like, Xperia 5, I think, is starting its rollout in Japan. That's how
I think what we should do is we should just basically call our Sony PR contact and just say, got to do something for us. Got to show us some love.
I don't want to throw her under the bus. She said probably February. And
I know.
That doesn't leave them a lot of time left.
That's not a lot of time, man. That's not a lot of time. If by my account, that's literally what, 3 days? It is 3 days, 28.
Counting is hard at this point in the week.
At this point in the week, at this late in the evening, it is a little bit hard for us to do straight up math. I do see a lot of familiar faces in the comments. Jason's actually new to the comment. Hey man, how you doing?
Yeah, Jason giving us some good shrugs with that profile pic. He's just saying.
He's just saying, man. I'm just, it is me. Greg, I see Gary the fireman was in there as well. I saw him a little bit. Aditya, of course. Vasquez is in there. Oh man, Gary the fireman and Mimingra. Oh, I don't know. How do you say
Mimengra?
I see.
But basically, he's our little river otter.
Oh,
That's what
that's
that
what that
word
is.
means. I can't pronounce it very
Neither,
well.
neither I didn't want to try to butcher
And
it
then
because if I did,
right at the top, I mean, even before we had our countdown going, we had Paul jumping in
oh, Paul,
just to
yeah,
say hey.
man. And then
So I mean, we
some
got a
Juan
good crew
Bagnell
here.
guy.
I'd like to I mean, again, because I kind of feel like I therapize at the
Mhm.
beginning of our podcasts. How's your week been? How did you how are you feeling? You've got a busy weekend coming up, but
I have a busy weekend, and I'm not gonna lie, I'm getting a little bit anxious. Um,
it's exciting
it's
stuff.
it, it's exciting, but it's also kind of like it's happening. You know what I mean? Like okay, last week was the excitement of everything kind of worked out. It's aligned, stars, planets, all the good stuff. This week is more about like, making sure, because I don't, with videos as we produce videos and doing content, there's a big difference between live and produced content, right? So I can make 1,001 mistakes, and you would never see that in the video because that's what I do that's why editing sessions are long. Um, yeah, on this one's going to be interesting. So I get to do a not a dress rehearsal. We get to do a rehearsal tomorrow for about 30 minutes, myself and the other creator from Sony. And yeah, I'm excited, and little bit of butterflies building up, but it is totally it's the fun part. It's the fun part of getting into it, and so that was kind of most of what's going on with me as far as the week. Um, I've had some surprising emails, some surprising connections that I've made that I was not expecting.
Nice.
So those are some nice ones that I'm working on for some future stuff. And then, after you and I talked last week, I ended up doing literally more podcasts than I thought I was going to do. So Friday, I did the Pocket Now with Josh. Saturday, of course, I did the regular Pocket Now, sorry, the regular Saturday Morning with Tech. But then Josh also joined. So Josh and I did another one. And then Sunday, I also jumped on another podcast. So it was a series of podcasts for the end of the week, which was really nice. It kind of topped it off. So I'm in an okay mood, and I will be great by Sunday.
Nice.
That
my wrapping up my week isn't going to be as exciting. I so miss doing live TV because you got to do one of those Fox 11 broadcasts.
I love
and they're
that.
intense, right?
They're very intense. You know what? But the rush, the excitement,
so intense.
it is
so good.
So the thing as we always do, obviously, being the one man production show, being the one person for everything is great, and you learn the trick of the trades and all of this stuff. But then when you go to a very well-oiled machine that is a show, a newscast, and everything is set up, and all you have to do is just show up and smile at the camera, and it's like right there kind of thing. Not that that's what I did. That was beautiful, and I loved it, and I really wanted to. I was hoping they would call and end up working a little bit more with our bud. But if that opportunity ever knocks, I would never say no. I think I like being in front of a camera, as you could.
Yeah, there's something about because it's pros and cons. When we sit down and we make a video and we're talking to this camera and we're in our lab and we can edit and splice in the B-roll and we've got all this control. It's really great. There's something so intoxicating. It's definitely like why I was a theater kid in college and not
absolutely
as much into film. When you're doing it live, you just gotta keep going. And it's the thing I miss the most about the Newegg live streams.
Oh yeah, that's right.
It was an hour-long show, and we're doing it live, and every week something doesn't work. You've got to keep going.
It's a fact of life, and we do that too here. Like, how many times has it happened to you where you've recorded a video, right, and you thought your audio was working, and you checked that there's no audio because the batteries ran out on your lav? Yeah, I don't care. I don't want to mention how many because it would literally sound like I'm not a professional and I don't know what I'm doing. But yeah, it's amazing how things can go. But I love the live event because it is what it is. Like you said, you just roll with the punches and move on, and fake it till you make it. That's what my karate sensei used to say. It's like, if you don't know your kata and you're getting ready, just fake it till you make it, man. Well, nobody would know.
I love it because like the further I go and the deeper I get into this, the more it seems no one ever makes it. It doesn't matter how good you are. It's still a sense of like, I'm still kind of faking it. That's this point. There's something
And
I don't know, and I'll
and do
figure
they
it out on
know?
the fly.
And do they know? That's the thing.
It's like, again, I have this like imposter syndrome. Like
Oh no.
I think I know what I'm talking about.
Well,
And
that's
then
where the experience comes in. Those in reality, that's really where all your
yeah.
experience, all your other thing, you know, it's truly the test of the material that you made from. I guess the best way to describe it is how well do you roll with them and how well you're able to recoup. It gets easier as time goes on when you go through a few motions. Like I think as we all noticed, I remember watching the show with you and Trish, you know, at the beginning, and I noticed a little bit of, you know, like getting used to each other, working on, and then by a few weeks later on, it literally felt like you guys were a syndicated show, and I'm like just turning on Channel 5. I'm like, oh, what am I watching? Oh, it's Juan and Trish. Yep, sure. Yeah, let's see what the deals are. I usually, what I do is I start scrolling down, and then the video pops up to the side. I start looking at the deals. I'm listening to you guys talk, all that good stuff. I love it.
I'm still like even maybe outside of Newegg, I've been pitching another show with Trish to anyone who will listen to me ramble on. That woman's instincts are so incredible. I have because again, like we were friends before we started doing that show, just like you and I mean, like I feel like we fall into a very easy and comfortable rapport, whether or not we're trying to put on a show.
Oh yeah.
I did an award show. Newegg used to host an award show, and Trish and I just took the stage and did a live, like, here's the red carpet and here's how we're going to do these awards and here are the nominees. And like, it is so incredibly rare to find someone that you can like play off of like that. And like, you know where they're going and they know where you're going and you can, you know what I mean? Like,
no,
when you land some of those friendships, it's like, it's so intense. So I've still like any opportunity to work with you, any opportunity that we can like drag Josh from the other corner of California because
earlier today,
really well.
no, that was the reason why.
Telegram chat, we were all again like, let me share my feelings about you, my friend.
He was hitting me up. He said, "Is Juan on Telegram?" I said, "Nah, dude, he's still he's OG. I've asked many times. It doesn't happen." So he's like, "Well, let's get him on."
Wore me down.
It was a matter of time, my friend.
He had a good laugh at my expense when I told him that you texted me to encourage me to join. So I had been on Telegram before. The problem is messaging services that tie, because Telegram, like a while back, was so tightly knit with your phone. And I was a Google Voice guy, and that didn't play well. And then whenever I'd get a new phone, the whole setup process of getting back into Telegram was a pain. And now it's like, now that I can keep a client running better on my desktop, like I'll probably
that's what I love about it. 90% of the time when I'm communicating on Telegram, it's on the desktop client because I have it on my desktop and on my phone. And I just like that more than using like, you know, WhatsApp or other services that are, you know, one device at a time. Although you have a web client, it's still one device at a time and it's connected to your phone. Telegram isn't. As long as the account is set up, it's server side. Perfect.
I'm telling you, like, it's for as many amazing MVNOs are out there. Yep. And like Visible looks like a great deal. Mint looks like it's
Mint,
great.
Mint, yeah, Mint, I was gonna say I've heard good things.
I'm sticking with Google Fi just because Fi is server side for your text messages, just like Google Voice was. So I can shut my phone down and I can still
jump on the web.
Log into any browser and I can still get messages and take phone calls. So short story, incredibly long. I'm glad you had a good week.
It's like I said, hopefully it's panning out to be a great end of the week. I have probably one more video tomorrow, the live stream on Saturday, and of course Sunday, and then just take a long nap after I feel like as soon as the show is over, like I'm done. It's gonna be like that.
You're gonna have a rush. You mean like the buzz is gonna linger for a bit, but I'm so stoked for you. Again, I feel like that is such a good pairing with you and Sony on that one. That I'm so excited to tune in on it. And again, I'm gonna be like bugging my Discord. I'm gonna post on the Patreon like, we need to go support TK. So I'm hoping we can bring a few people to.
It'll be one of those shows. we'll see how many times he can say the word actually, and you just take a shot every time I say the word actually, and as long as you you guys will be intoxicated within
We'll
2
come up with a
minutes.
bingo card because I feel like there should be something that happens with at the end of the day.
Yeah, something like that. Or
That's a good one
we'll,
for
ha-
you too. Like we'll
we'll
finish a
have
drink every time he says at the end of the
the end
day.
of the day. I'm actually insinuating my own drinking game. That should not be the way it happens.
Oh, yeah, I mean, you started it, but we'll finish that board for you. We'll come up with a
I-
good like TK bingo board.
TK bingo board. How many times can we get him? No. But keep in mind though, you are able to submit questions. So if you have any questions on the Xperia Pro, you'd like to engage, please feel free to submit them. The gentleman that I'm working with will be going through the questions and maybe aggregating it if there's a few that are the same, and then he'll be passing them on to me. So that's at least that's how I understand it's going to be. This is going to be very much. I'm not doing anything other than just being on camera and talking about tech that I love. So it'll be good.
So Steve DeRoche in the live chat just burned me pretty good. I know that Juan is old enough that he had to send telegrams, and he's not wrong.
Huh.
My family's first phone was a rotary I mean, the first phone I remember using as like a tiny little kid and playing with was a rotary telephone. So I actually at that time there probably were still telegrams being sent.
Here's a little tip. Here's a little tip and trick, or tips and tricks on old rotary phones. Back in the day, when I used to want to listen, when I listened to the radio and I wanted to basically dial in because there was competitions. As soon as they say the question, you dialed all of the numbers and you hold the last number on the last dial. You don't let it spin out. You can actually wait till when you needed it, and then you release it, and that's when the number gets dialed. So it was one of those.
Even like, back seriously. Then, TK was already looking at optimizations.
Exactly.
The process of utilizing the technology.
And that was actually speed rotary.
I mean, if you were really good, you'd try and get like multiple fingers in there. And I don't know. I wasn't pro on rotary phones. So
no, when I was a kid, my uncle brought in one time. I forgot what part of the 80s it was. He brought in a cell phone. It was a cordless phone, but it came in a suitcase. The phone needed a suitcase to power it and connect it. That was wired, and he brought it in just to show it to us. And I was so excited. And it was like, "How does that work?" I said, "It's wireless. It works by itself. It's the next technology." And he's like, "And I have another one in the car." And I'm like, "Wow." So yeah, now
those two combined were definitely worth more than the car.
I know. Now we just have these glowing rectangles. I don't know what we do.
I mean, the prestige of owning some kind of wireless communications device has definitely faded.
Back then, it was definitely very much a prestige. And I remember, like, my first computer was his first computer was a Commodore 64. So it wasn't even, it was magnetic tapes and, loading games and hitting booting commands on the actual keyboard. So that was a lot of fun. And going into Ataris and, oh man, you're taking me through memory lane now. It's fun time.
As we're kind of making a transition, one of the things that it kind of snuck up on me. It's a bit of a surprise. I'm going to be doing a live stream chat tomorrow morning with Dr. Ian from Anantech, and we're going to be talking about like performance testing and reviewing and stuff. And I feel like
on your show.
Well, not as like a show. It's going to be kind of its own standalone little live stream on my personal channel. And I'll probably co-stream it to the Twitch. But just as a way to kind of sort of segue into one of the main topics that we're going to be talking about, since you were kind enough to let me loan out your Galaxy S21.
Dude, I've been looking for that for the last week.
Yeah, I didn't want to say anything. It's like I didn't want to have to buy one. So
not again, John. Come on, Juan. Okay, I get it. Anytime, dude, anytime. Honestly, the intention for me originally to get, I wanted to focus on the Ultra anyways. The 21 was more. I'm on Jump on Demand with T-Mobile, and I figured why not? And it was also the only option that I could get without having to put $300 to $400 down payment on it. I mean, I'm paying the monthly payment for it, but it's just, there's no, you don't lose money with the Jump on Demand. There's most phones now, when they get so expensive, T-Mobile makes you put a down payment. I'm like, on a lease. Yeah.
Yeah,
Anyways, but I'm
it's a
glad you were
thing.
able to. It is a thing, but I don't like to lose money when I'm losing.
Well, I mean,
Anyways, yeah. So, but
it's
yeah.
definitely like the trials and tribulations of being a gadget reviewer, and it brings into
Yeah.
stark relief a conversation that I'm struggling to I'm struggling to quantify. I'm struggling to voice it appropriately without it just sounding like sour grapes. But
Yep.
the marketing, and the business strategy we've seen from Samsung over these last couple of years is something that's making me a little bit anxious.
Hmm.
Where it's kind of a lobster pot effect of Samsung disrupting the used market, inflating and subsidizing sort of trade-in costs so that they can keep you sort of locked into the
Locked in. Go
Samsung
back in.
ecosystem,
Yeah.
and at the same time whittling back on the actual phone experience to increase the number of accessories and services and everything that you need to kind of pay into to complete the phone.
Hmm.
And the S21 definitely seems emblematic of a trend that I'm not super comfortable with. It feels like the Walmart of smartphones for me right now, where hey, it's a great deal, but they can roll in ultra subsidize these super low cost devices, whittle back on all these features, and
Hmm.
then it pushes competition out of the marketplace, and then you're sort of stuck with nowhere else to go. And that to me seems to be Samsung's next phase. It's like they're not going to out Apple. They're going to
No,
copy everything that Apple
I was going to
does.
say, yeah, they just check the homework and copy.
And then at the same time, they're going to use this enormous marketing budget and the weight of their entire company and their ability to subsidize these devices and work with carriers to also, sort of deliver these incentives to make it so much more difficult for a competitor to keep above water.
Yeah.
And when I use the S21, it's a fine phone. It's fine. It's fine.
Oh yeah, no,
But it
obviously,
doesn't.
it boots Android.
Yeah, I mean, like it can
Sorry,
open an app. I mean, it's a functional product, but it's a step in a direction that makes me less excited for a company that used to define what I felt mobile productivity should be.
yeah.
And it definitely, again, I mean, it kind of reinforces the ultras make more sense. The
Oh,
claims that
absolutely.
Samsung puts out there and what that product is actually trying to deliver against that price tag, it's big, it's expensive,
Hmm.
but it makes more sense in my brain. The same kinds of claims trickling down to the S21 Plus and the S21 don't succeed as well with now the newer compromises that we need to make on this device. So it's definitely leaving me feeling more conflicted. And then when I share like my performance testing and some of my results, it just pisses off
Oh, yeah, obviously, yeah.
like all of the Samsung nights.
The I would say the product affirmation, that you're trying, that they come to validate. And I love the intro that you did on the video, that you did kind of, address that at the beginning. You realized that you were walking, what you were obviously getting into. Um, but at the end, the reality is it's a tough way of really approaching the hardware. Promises were made, and they're still being made. You still see the ads, you still see the advertising away where they're going, and you get the phone and the device, and you don't get that when you're not, when you don't get that delivery of the promised excitement. This is the best thing, that this is the leaps and bounds from what you had before, blah blah blah. Insert hashtag tagline there. It's hard. I mean, for me, like I said, the S21 Ultra was in many ways for me a downgrade. It was, and I don't have the exciting effect that I had when I went to the S20, including with the concerns that we had with the camera on the S20 Ultra. I still prefer the S20 Ultra. The charging speed that I'm dealing with right now is killing me, because when I'm charging the S21 Ultra, I know exactly how much slower it is, even though I'm using a 45-watt charger.
Right.
Um, I've had to uninstall
What
Samsung Pay off my phone
did,
because
did you
it's
did you
pointless now.
buy a Samsung charger, or are you
No,
using another one?
no. I'm using my, so as we know, the S21 line doesn't come with any chargers. No. So last year, the S21 Ultra, the S20 Ultra didn't come with the 45. It came with the 25-watt charger.
Oh, so you grabbed
So
the
when you pre-ordered with the Samsung, they give you those credits. I opted for the 45-watt charger. I felt like,
Gotcha.
hey, you're giving me
No,
finally
yeah,
the
that
speeds
makes
that I
sense.
want. So I've had the 45-watt charger. Now it's a PD charger, by the way. So if you have any kind of 55-watt, 60-watt kind of things, it doesn't have to be the Samsung charger. You can use others. I've used other chargers that provide us the same benefit. But I still use that. It's one of the chargers that I have. I have like a trio of chargers for smartphones because I typically have like 2 to 3 phones at a time that I'm having to keep charge. Um, it sucks. It takes forever. And I realize it's not like night and day. I mean, we're still talking 25-watt, but it's that feeling that just never just goes away. And I feel like they purposely slowed it down. There was no issue with the S20 with heating, anything. That was actually a plus. So like I said, uninstalling Samsung Pay because it makes no sense anymore. They took away the point system. They took away the Max Stripe. What's the point of Samsung Pay? Right?
Well, they still need to be able to sell off your data.
Well, that's true, but that's for them though. What is it? You know what I mean? Like that benefit for me, it was like
you like Samsung, you should be happy that they're succeeding in the marketplace.
They already got all my data. Come on, you know how it is.
It's like, again, it's also why I'm borrowing an S21 from you. It's like
and honestly, when I was getting the S21 and the S21 Plus, I always thought in my mind, I was like, I always like to make. See, I'm always a functional person. I like to think of multiple uses for a single item because I don't feel like it makes sense to do one thing in life, right? If we as human can only do one thing and only one thing, we'd be so inefficient. But I honestly thought of like in my mind, it's like if I had the S21, because what I do is I'll carry it till the next phone that I'm able to get through T-Mobile. You know, if you're open for it, I would have, I was in my mind, I was thinking of something that you could probably take a look at. And I just needed it for that initial week or so because I needed to do, accessories. And I needed to do also, I knew in my mind, which I couldn't share with most people, that the Mi 11 was coming. So I needed to do a video with the Mi 11 and the S21 before I was able to hand it off. So that was my thing.
Right.
So I feel your concerns. I totally agree. Honestly, the Mi 11 is more exciting. Yeah, I said that earlier today on a podcast with Miriam, and I say that again. Yeah, it's more fun. It's more fun. It's exciting, and it beats the S21 and S21 Plus hands down. And it's cheaper. That's even worse. It's cheaper.
So it's definitely been interesting because I feel like we're also on these early days. I have every expectation that some of my performance issues will probably improve.
Optimizations will fix. Obviously, this is early days. You're right.
But again, I feel like there's a counterbalance that needs to happen where if I'm gracious and I'm kind and I'm suggesting that Samsung is going to do this well when we can see that it takes. I mean, they're really good at putting out a monthly update. I'm not sure they're always really great at fixing the problems that they need to fix in every monthly update. But that at the same time, then we turn around and we hear an overwhelming tone of commentary that like OnePlus, I mean, out of the box, that software needs so much work. And you're like, well, yeah, every phone is like that now. I mean, we say Samsung is exactly the same, but then we praise, look at how good they are with updates. But we're not going back and talking about how wonderfully improved the OnePlus 8 Pro was, for
absolutely.
a couple months after launch. And again, it's that kind of like, where do I fit in this commentary now that the buzz is pretty much done and that, the SEO on future Samsung videos is already plummeting, like
it's already had, we've already seen the change in the route, but I feel like it's still important to put out, at least for the people that follow you, the people that do, understand, and they see that
I'm still doing it. It's my struggle is what color tone of commentary do I place in that, and that's what's a bit more of a challenge because like right now I'm still even just fielding like angry comments from like, well, Mr. Who's the Boss said the performance was better than what you're showing in your graph, and you're like, where did he say that? And with what app? Because all I see are a bunch of like Exynos comparisons, and I'm talking about like
The Qualcomm chipset versus
Yeah,
well,
and
even
and
then,
these
even
different
then.
things.
No, no, there is a difference between, and I think the Qualcomm and the Exynos both are underclocked. There, it's not just on the Qualcomm chipset. I saw some benchmarks numbers that I got from Matt because I think he has the Exynos model, the
Mhm.
S21 Ultra, and or even prior to that, he had the S21, and that one was also showing the same. Where if you don't turn on enhancement mode, which again deep buried down in the battery settings, because that's where everybody goes when they first set up the phone if they watch my videos.
Someone was kind enough to correct me on my video that if you go to your notification shade and you go into the alternate buttons, you can find an enhanced performance mode button that then you can drag into
Juan,
your
apparently you didn't
notification
watch
shade.
my tips and tricks, man. We gotta get you hooked on the show, man.
I
I'm
know.
gonna send you the video as soon as I put it out. No,
I'm
I'm
just
just
letting
joking.
you know that it apparently for average consumers who never dig through settings, that's an acceptable way to shortcut the enhanced mode. That
Here it is, enhanced processing.
yes, I mean I added it to your
I
S21. I'm gonna wipe out this phone before I give it back to you, so it won't be there. Just so you know, you'll have to put it back.
I appreciate that, sir. Thank you. I will make sure that it's there. But no, honestly, if my thing is realistically this, if the LG gods are listening and they do grace us with a V70, I'm gonna say this now. Everybody in the comment, we need to do the LG dance and the whole thing.
It's
LG,
very similar to the rain dance, so just be
it
careful.
very very much so. If it starts raining, it's cool. It's working. Please, please, please make the V70 happen. Make a V something. Make something happen, and release something in the U.S. market because it's literally a year to the date almost since you and I last hung out with the PR guys, and we saw the V60 for the first time, and we have nothing. It is it's the end of February, and we got nada. So I want to see something. I really want LG to come back and into the conversation. I'm seeing a lot of leaks for the Sony Xperia 1 Mark III. I'm getting excited for that.
A concept creator put out a great render on what that phone might look like. And
yeah, that was Jermaine, wasn't it? No. So that's all he does. By the way, that's like his 90% of. I mean, he does video reviews as well, but as as a concept creator, that's literally his bread and butter kind of thing. He was on the chat with us last week, and that looked really, really nice. Like the color, the tone, the configuration. I saw that. I was excited.
And again, just subtle tweaks over where we were with the Xperia 1.
And that's all it is. Yeah.
I'm into that.
The recipe,
fine with that.
This recipe that we have right now is seriously a serious. Oh, I see what happened. I need to buy a new case.
Oh, me too. Yeah, mine cracked in exactly the same place.
That's how we do it. Yeah. That's right. Yeah, mine just cracked tonight. Like it didn't crack before.
Oh yeah,
when we were talking. Yeah. I took it out.
It's such a great hand feel, and I love the
it's
color.
Minimalist. Yeah.
Minimalist is very kind. So I'm digging into the S21, and it's troubling because this is a phone that seems to perform very well on synthetic benchmarks, and yet. None of these performance improvements seem to manifest. So I finally Audio Evolution is the audio recording app that I use, and it finally got updated. It was having issues with Android 11, so I can finally run that. That is the one app I can demonstrate an improvement over the 865 in any kind of tangible way. So if you're going to render an hour-long podcast on your phone, I'm seeing like where on the 865 it would normally be like a 90-second render, it's now like a 70-second render.
Oh, that's decent.
No,
with
with
enhanced, that's with enhancement turned on.
It actually seems to be consistent between both. Whatever enhanced does is not affecting the performance of Audio Evolution, and that's another thing that I run into a bit is. What actually seems to be tapping the full horsepower of the 888 is very application specific.
It's the you're right. So this is why you were saying that before, that more than likely as time goes on, some of the things that you're seeing now, the conversation would change or could change. And the question would be, is this the 888 was announced November, December last year. Xiaomi had the same amount of time as Samsung to put together their SoC, and more than likely, realistically, we know that manufacturers have already had access to this type of hardware. This is not going to be like where Samsung found out on the same day we did that the 888 is coming out. Trust me, development of the hardware, it takes months and years to get together. So what we see now started almost a year and a half ago,
probably 2 years ago. Yeah.
So yeah, to understand. But it is the software optimizations from the developer side, which may not be on the same power cycle, obviously, as the OEMs. Or so the reality, the fact is that the claims being made without tangible matter is the issue that we're having with right now. It's the look how much better, look how much greater. You run a benchmark. Oh, look, numbers are definitely great if you know what to turn on. But the reality is, you're right. Frame rate shouldn't be dropping this low on a device that is sold with 120 frames per second refresh rate on a 1080p panel. Again, this is the lower resolution configuration that you're able to go with. We're not saying push it at QHD with 120 like, the OnePlus 8 Pro or anything. That's beside the point. But those are the things that concern me, is like, what you were showing with your numbers on there, obviously. It's the fluctuation between the frame rate that concerns me a lot. It's not just the consistency. It's where you want it to be. You want it to be consistent. At whatever frame rate it's sticking to, you want it to be hovering around it. That's what you want to see, the performance throughput. But people are buying phones now. They're making decisions on things now, and they're going to get this poor performance, and they're going to feel they're going to lose that lackluster, and it's going to hurt down the road for Samsung, because those are things that they're promising on their hardware. They're not going to blame the app developer. They're going to blame the phone.
Well,
you know what I mean?
On top of that, it's also just the thing that's frustrating is, for as critical as I'm being of Samsung right now, if we're in the Android ecosystem, we can't let Samsung fail. Right now, the momentum by no means isn't, oh no, my Samsung isn't performing very well, let me consider buying a Sony. It's, oh, the Samsung was garbage, I'm gonna go buy an iPhone. When we start seeing it trends like that, and when we've watered down our competition to Apple versus Samsung, it puts all of the rest of the Android ecosystem in a really precarious position. Samsung has now, thanks to trade-in deals and subsidies and stuff, has now set an incredibly low value for a competitor. Because someone's going to say, like, well, why would I buy a more expensive phone? I can get a Galaxy S21 and trade in another phone and get like $300 off. And isn't this such a great deal? Why would I spend $800 or $1,000 on a OnePlus? Why would I spend $1,000 on this V70? LGs, I don't even know that they still make phones. Like we're so lopsided, and we're so dependent on this ecosystem sort of hovering around Samsung, that if they misstep in a situation like this, it's just really bad for the entire Android side. And again, I'm really struggling with this, because I've also been very vocal just about how much I do not like doing business with Samsung as a corporation, and I don't like how they handle relationships with their other vendors, and I don't like how they handle business with their consumers. So it's tricky. It's really tricky to properly weight how important I feel these issues are. And, because it's not just like, oh, well, in gaming, it's this. It's like, this phone runs hot. We shouldn't be okay with phones that run hot. I saw like, this chipset, this GPU is pulling like 8.5 watts of power. and it can't even sustain full load. If it could sustain full load, who was it? Golden Reviewer showed the Mi 11 with a fan attachment. So if you have active cooling on the Mi 11, it can sustain full load.
It's the Black Shark Mi attachment, I think. Yeah.
Which is one, it's hilarious. Like, hey, look at how consistent these frame rates are, but I can nuke the battery in under 2 hours. And like, I'm having to deal with an insane amount of power draw, and like trying to express that in some way where someone's going to pick up this phone, they're going to be using it. Maybe they just have a heavier day than usual. And like, why did the performance tank, and why is my battery just evaporating? And trying to express that to a consumer, they're not going to sit there and listen to me talk about power envelopes and thermal processing and throttling and the settings you need to dig into. They're going to, it's fine. Yeah, it's just my next phone. My next phone's just going to work. I'm going to make sure my next phone just works. And then we're all struggling to try and keep up with a market perception that doesn't really reflect real life.
Exactly, and I think it's the impression that I think Samsung may be attributing or contributing to that conversation right now. Um, I really do hope that there is some software updates, some type of optimization they're able to bring in, and we will have to basically see what's going to happen within the next few months. It's early, both the S21. I mean, I'm not going to deny, obviously, yes, the Mi 11 does run warm. There's no question. But in my 2-hour session of playing 4 to 5 games in 30-minute sessions, there was obviously the pause period between it. The phone did get the chance to cool down after around that, because as I'm transitioning from one game to the other, loading up and getting ready, there's that, the GPU performance drops. So it's not consistent 2-hour gameplay. I didn't hit the same concerns. I mean, I didn't hit the same frame rate drop because I wasn't also measuring it from an FPS point of reference.
Right.
It seems like it ran fine, but it did get warm. That was true. The case that I had on it kind of helped a little bit, but overall, we shouldn't be dealing with devices a la 810 or 801 back in the old days with the.
And that's also sort of the other fair point to bring up is like my style of gameplay right now is not Genshin Impact. It's not.
I was going to say, yeah, Genshin Impact, if you play that for more than maybe 25, 30 minutes, yeah, you're going to
right.
It automatically optimizes down. Yeah.
But like I'm looking for console, Switch, and PC ports. Like,
yeah,
I'd rather fire up Battle Chasers, which is a great PC RPG. When I fired up Undead Horde, I thought I was going to be going easy, because that's a game that easily sustains in the mid to high 40s on the OnePlus 8T. In fact, like, unless I have a ton of units in active control, it's in the low 50s. I'm like, okay, this is a gimme. If there's anything, this is a game that's ported from the Switch.
I was going to say,
super arcadey. The graphics aren't so, like, incredible. It's a very sort of like a cartoony kind of graphic style, and even for their like optimizations for like better particle effects, like it's minimal stuff. This game is like, it runs like butter on the Switch. This should be easy. And after 20 minutes watching the S21 struggle to stay in the mid to high 30s was rough. And the phone was hot. And like, man, this is like the first year in since the Snapdragon 810, this is the first year where I can't show real world app performance improvements year to year.
Right. From out of the box. I know
there needs to be some app optimizations, but like that has never happened before the 810.
My question would be still is, so we're at the end of February, right? These devices were announced in December, mid-January, released in mid-January to early February. It's been about a month. And my wondering is like, why has not been that much optimizations done on most apps for the 888? I would assume at this point that we see more optimizations on the developer side also. Is just maybe they're just waiting because there's not as much 888 devices on the market?
I think it's tricky because a lot of the apps that I can kind of count on for some consistent testing are things like content creation, photo editing, audio. I mean, I gotta say, I was really impressed with the folks at Audio Evolution getting a patch out for their Android 11 issues as quickly as they did.
Yeah, but those are the things that you're waiting for, obviously.
Well, but it seems like they're a developer that's making a multi-track audio recording app for Android. Common knowledge would tell you that app isn't worth it. If you're going to do creative stuff like record audio, you should have Apple products. So they're already kind of fighting a perception, and it's a great recording app. I mean, like, especially if you want to layer up like a couple tracks and you want to like paint in some music, and it's solid. It really does the gig. I very much enjoy. I've been using it since like Android 5. Like it's been around.
KitKat? Oh wait, hold on. It's 5 KitKat?
But anyway, it's this developer isn't getting access to every brand new phone. So they have to wait until a new phone comes out that breaks something in their app, and then they have to course correct and
Sir, did you
and
say
refine for it.
layer? Did you say layer a few tracks with some music at the background? This is a full-on audio
Yeah.
track configuration app.
Yes. I've been
Oh
trying
my,
to tell people, and it's the same thing. You know, like I mentioned, like, hey, I'm doing these batch photo edits, and I
yeah,
want to
yeah.
test like how long that takes. And someone like, hey, if you're not using Lightroom, what are you using? And you're like, let me show you. Photomate, you buy it once. It's $9. It's a great app. It doesn't have some of the cool like AI,
Mhm.
editing and adjustment tools as Photoshop. I mean, Lightroom and
Lightroom.
Adobe will have, but you want to layer up 100 photos and batch process them under some easily shareable editings. I mean, there are ways to do this. Photomate, there's no way that developer is getting access to
Andrew,
new
them.
devices.
Yeah, Aditya is asking about the app. So it just look for
Audio
it directly.
Evolution.
Audio Evolution Mobile Studio by Extreme Software Development. There's a trial. You can definitely check that out first if you want to
So
test it out.
especially on and it's got really good support for USB audio hardware. So
Oh, and which is a
I've
must now.
actually used it a lot for interviews.
Mhm.
The very, very first one that I did like kind of semi-professionally was the audiologist that I interviewed. I had her on this.
I remember that one. Yes, that was one of the last few things you did on with Pocket Now before you left.
Yeah.
From the
So
second.
well, that was more a Newegg thing. But yeah, same. It was like in the crossover as I was leaving
Was it on
Pocket
you?
Now.
Okay,
Though
I remember it was around the time. Yeah.
the psychologist was the Pocket Now. I'm really proud of that video, even though it's gotten like no traffic over the years. But I'm talking about smartphone addiction was a Pocket Now joint. But when
Mhm.
I was talking to Dr. Grimes at UCLA, I had her on a Samsung Lav. So one of those just little cheap consumer wireless labs. And I had the audio going into, I believe it was it an LG G7? I think it was a G7, and I recorded and cut the audio of that podcast on the G7. Again, it's like I want to show that there's something that we can do to sort of drive these devices.
Mhm.
It makes me a little bit sad that I think the conversation about like, well, you just do basic things on your phone and you Snapchat is kind of just winning. Like, what's the point of owning an Ultra or a V series or a OnePlus Pro or a Sony if the only thing you can conceive of doing is like well, I tweet and I email and I take the occasional phone call and then I take a photo in HDR and I upload it to Instagram.
Or I listen
I
to
guess
Twitter rooms or Twitter whatever that new thing Twitter thing's gonna have.
the spaces or the
Sorry,
places
yeah, Twitter
or
Spaces. It's I'm losing track of what name and where and all of that stuff. But yes, you need an Ultra to be able to hang out with all the cool people on Twitter Spaces,
I mean,
and
if you don't have an Ultra, how can you even like open and check your email?
it doesn't work.
It
That's what
doesn't
it
work.
is. It
Your
doesn't
phone
work.
would just crash. I mean, I would be afraid
All
of
emails
that.
are forwarded to the Ultra. Everything else here just kind of hangs around. That's how we do it.
Well, as you're going through the Ultra, though, because I know we're going to transition over here to talk about Twitter, which is hilarious. I would be very curious to see if you've got any other sort of performance follow ups. To see if
I
the
do need to
Ultra
spend some
seems
more
to
time.
handle thermals a little bit better than the regular S21 does.
In the short amount of time that I had with when I did the gaming benchmarks on it, I can say that performance seemed to be comparable to both, even though we have a little bit more amount of more RAM on the Ultra than we have on the standard.
Mhm.
The throttling and the at least the overall performance seemed to be comparable. I didn't see. There is, I mean, hardware wise, if we really look at them consistently, they're pretty much the same hardware. There's just a few more gigs of RAM when it comes down to performance, and that doesn't really attribute to GPU performance. It's more about what it's able to run. 8 is more than enough to run any of the latest and greatest games that you have. The only difference is the ability of jumping into QHD and 120, which tends to tank the performance unless you turn on performance optimization, which is where I feel like you know what I mean? It's like you're
Yeah.
better off running a 1080p 120, kind of like gaming on monitors for RPC monitors. You're better with the low resolution, high refresh rate than you go with high resolution, low refresh rate.
Yeah.
Gaming is always lower, higher refreshed. So I do want to spend some more time with it. I didn't get a chance to do a very big comparison between the Mi 11 and the S21 Ultra, because I felt like they weren't really in competition. I feel like the Mi 11 Pro more than likely will be the one that kind of goes against the 21 Ultra.
For sure.
And with yeah, I don't know if you saw this, was it like this morning or last night? Xiaomi releases the K40, the Redmi K40 Pro, and they released them with the 870. So we're starting to see some 870 to SoC, and I think Motorola announced one.
I'm thinking 870 is going to be
it may be the new
chipset.
Yeah, it may be the new 7 that we were. There's a good chance. I mean, with the leaks that we saw with the Pixel 5a, we see Google going to stick with the design of the Pixel line, which I'm excited for. Obviously, they're improving the Pixel 5 and the 5a. The budget friendly now has dual sensors. Like exactly, and I'm sure they're going to keep the price down. But I would love to see a Pixel 6 with an 870. You know what I mean? Like some of those improvements, because it's going to be the less expensive SoC. It's very much based on last year's SoC. We never saw an 865. This could be the year where they're able to, and we're still early. So,
and we can already predict that a bunch of reviewers are going to pan it because
why
would you buy it? It's the 870.
It's based on last year's architecture. It's the modem is separate, but we'll have to see. Honestly, I'm excited for the fact that we're starting to see the K40 is really a flagship type of a device. Unfortunately, it doesn't come to our market. It's not intended for the US market or European.
You really got to try and spend some. I mean, not like I'm trying to say, hey, send me your Xiaomi when you're done with it. I need to reach out and see if I can't find.
Oh no, definitely. We could definitely arrange for a Mi 11 to show up at a specific set of time and space.
Well, but
for
more,
for the right.
Grease those wheels and something those palms. No, because I really want to see what you'll be able to do comparing the Mi 11 against the S21, not the Ultra, but the sort of regular S21.
And I feel like that's where the where it really needs to. There's pros and cons on both sides. I'm not discounting the fact that obviously Samsung has DeX. Samsung has more. There's few things that obviously Samsung holds leg up on many manufacturers on the market. Xiaomi to this day still doesn't even acknowledge, it doesn't actually try to approach desktop mode for Android at all. Like as other OEMs, I mean, even OnePlus, they give us access to it, but it's just there kind of a thing.
Yeah.
So the goal is obviously to get a little bit more performance benchmarks between the two. I'm waiting also for the Xiaomi. So here's the thing. The Mi 11 is supposed to get the MIUI 12.5 in the next month or so. That's going to be a big boost to performance and optimizations done. And I'm almost tempted to say that can also probably include a lot of hot fixes and stuff like into the system to kind of catch up all the things we're dealing with. So definitely a longer conversation is still to be had with these two, as we are still in February of 2021, and March, my friend, is looking to be a super crazy month.
Yeah,
it's Techtober in March. Let's just say that.
I'm a little anxious about that.
It is, but you know what? Honestly, I say this. Regardless of whatever devices come out, we need to start seeing more better Android updates to new OSs. Android 11 is not even having the same amount of impact. I mean, people's comments, I've seen so many comments on the videos on both the videos I posted and so on. I'm not even on 11 yet, and we're talking about 12. You know what I mean? Like it's a tough conversation to.
Well, and again, it's for as well improved as Google is making this process, it's still a dividing line between Google, the manufacturers, and the carriers all the way down. There are only so many things you can do to kind of enable. And I mean, I'd be shocked, even with some early sales on the Galaxy S21. Do you think Android 11 has broken 2% yet? Market?
I think if it barely at the end of. I think at the end of 2020, if I'm not mistaken, there were still devices being released with Android 10. Like it was weird. Like Android 10. I mean, come on.
Well, no, but I think a bunch of manufacturers were out there saying, "Hey, like we don't want to put out an Android 11 device at the end of this year with the requirements on things like Project Mainline and those new security policies." And it was just like we already had this phone in development, and the pandemic interrupted some of our supply chain. So Nord You know,
No,
and
no,
I feel like that was the practical reality of this, but it's still going to be. I kind of feel like Android 11 is already in for an uphill slog, and
mhm.
it feels like we're going to be stacked 3 OS generations abreast when Android 12 comes out. We're still trying to get Android 11 updates out,
Yeah,
and there are
and
still a flood of Android 10 devices out there. Support needs to be a very different kind of conversation than what we're currently having.
and definitely very much so. And to keep in mind too that the one thing I think a lot of people are still realizing is we are talking about Android 12 at this point, but we're talking about it in the aspect of developer preview. It's still early,
Yeah.
but the reality is that by the time it's released in September, the same statement that Juan just made, it will still be true. The sad part is time will go, improvements will be made.
You were like, and so kind, and so kind, and so kind, and hammer.
You know what? Where the I's need to be dotted and the T's got to be crossed. You gotta set them up right.
You even nailed the lowercase J's. You were all on top of it. It was great.
That's what we're bringing on Sunday, man. That's
Real
exactly
quick,
what we're bringing on Sunday.
Do we want to talk about Twitter real quick? I know
Yeah.
I diverted us right back into another rambling.
Oh no.
Android thing,
I wanted to. The reason with Android 12 was mostly because so the one thing is I posted another video on it, and the reason why I was actually excited about the part is there were some actually hidden features inside of Android 12 developer preview that even Google didn't share with us or didn't give us direct access to, and just like one-handed mode, the ability of turning on system-wide microphone and camera toggles to disable them without having to go into permission manager. That was cool. I think that's a very good feature. I love that. And then there was also like some optimization on swiping, the new UI and the settings tab. So those are the things that I felt like those are kind of like a little bit of excitement that I saw there. Obviously, still to be decided what OEM decides, whichever company decides to put on them. These are purely under the hood, not turned on features, but it was nice. It was good. So I hope you guys if you guys were looking forward to seeing some unreleased features that may or may not even show up in Android 12, check that out. But spaces, the spaces are a thing now. Remember last week we were talking about the whole, Twitter getting it, Clubhouse and then Twitter getting its own thing.
Has it shown up for you at all? Are you?
So here's the thing, as in due fashion, obviously, Twitter always releases their features for iPhones because apparently only iPhone users use Twitter. That's how life is.
Mm-hmm.
It is currently available.
Powerful enough to load Twitter? I don't think Androids are powerful enough to open apps.
I think the Snapdragon 999 will be able to load Twitter correctly. Right now, we're having to run it on a PC and emulate it on the hardware.
Oh, okay. That's where I was trying to screen share it, but I didn't have the Xperia Pro anymore.
It's one of those. So what I did for me is, and I did actually take a screenshot because I felt like it was one of those things you have to take a screenshot because people won't believe that you were in it. Spaces look very much. So here it is. It's essentially I was running it on my 11 Pro Max. The good iPhone. It runs very, very similarly to what you expect with. Hold on, let me see if Max is still sitting in his room. No, he stopped it. So what it does essentially is where we normally see stories on the top, where we normally see the stories feed, it creates a combined bubble between two.
Okay.
So it's not available on Android unless you download the beta. So Max shared with us, there's a link that he tweeted or he responded to my tweet. I think Josh was asking him, Josh Quinones, and there is a beta 2 or beta 3. It is beta 2. And you're able to sideload it and it will show up on Android. So they are working on the Android side, but it's just not on the alpha, on the alpha channel. It's on the beta channel. So it's interesting. Looks very much like.
Well, hold on. Did you spend any time in Clubhouse? Did you?
Since. Yeah, no. So a little bit of background. I've used Clubhouse for that was like 4 or 5 actual like sit down and joining groups and being on panels and then discussing things. The interface is very, very, very much literally like they looked over on Clubhouse's homework and they said, Okay, so
Just
we're
change
doing
a
that.
few things. Don't
That's
copy
exact.
it
No.
completely.
Absolutely. The look in this. So moderators or speakers now here, they're not called moderators. They're called speakers. The speakers are sitting at the top, which is typical, and then you have the
Hmm.
people that are in the room called the listeners, because that's what we do. And then you have
They're
you don't
really
have
tricky with this. I mean, I'm
very
just
very
blowing my
no,
mind here. It's amazing.
hey, they're innovating, they're discovering new stuff, dude. Just hold on. Hold on to your chair, my friend. Um, and as opposed to raising your hand, you actually have to hit the microphone and request to give request permission to talk. That's so innovative. They literally, like, seriously, swear to God, they literally, they just, they said, hey, the UI guy at Twitter is like, how do we do this, man? I have no idea, dude. Just open up Clubhouse. You know exactly what to do. Change the icons, put a couple of color tweaks here, make it a
Oh
little bit more
man.
rounded. You're cool. Um, I don't mind. I mean, I think it's nice. The obviously the audio was, there was a little bit of a bug on iOS where I left the room, or I left the space, and the audio from the space was still working in Twitter while I was still in the app. Then when I went back into the same space, because I'm like, I thought I hit the X, I exited. Then the audio was playing in almost echo mode, almost like it was playing the track twice with with like a 0.5 second delay. That drove me crazy. So I had to kind of exit, go back. So it's a little bit of a, I would say, still early, but it happened. Spaces are here. We no longer, Clubhouse's days are numbered. I'm
Yeah,
not trying to.
I'm going to be really curious. There have been a number of conversations about some of the security issues facing Clubhouse
Clubhouse.
as a
Yeah.
platform. I think some very fair criticisms over how they have built an audience faster than they could really provide
Yeah.
good moderation and good privacy tools. And then also it always makes me a little twitchy if you're like your user termination policy is very unclear.
The
So when
whole
someone
sending a
wants to,
letter, snail mail to remove a profile. Oh, like, seriously?
yeah, I mean,
I
so
got a messenger pigeon this thing over?
right. I mean, I gotta start building some smoke signals by
Or
like
fox it?
setting.
You remember foxing back in the old days where you
Ah,
had to just tie it to the fox and we're foxing it?
woo. So accounting for all of that, and knowing like Twitter as a platform definitely has its issues too, and people have
Yeah.
been kind of concerned about some of their political policy, and I totally get all that. Um, I, I'll be curious to see if Clubhouse can sustain, because I'm always very surprised when like TikTok.
Hmm.
There's nothing unique to TikTok. TikTok as a service, there's nothing inherent to that can't be imminently replicated and is being copied on any other service that has some kind of video component. And yet they've managed to find a certain group of users that are core, and then they can kind of keep fueling challenges that keep people interested. And that just sort of has become its own insulated vibe.
I feel like the secret to TikTok is because TikTok is TikTok for what it does. It's the scrolling effect that you just jump into it.
Yeah.
While other systems where they brought in stories and they're trying to copy it, it's a secondary effect, right?
Yeah.
Instagram having reels doesn't actually mimic TikTok because you have
No.
to get out of your normal feed, which is not where you normally land. You have to go into the Explore, you have to find it, select it, and then start scrolling through their
For sure.
reels. So they're
But I
not
was
really
surprised by
able to give a.
TikTok. I was
Yeah.
surprised by TikTok because we also said the same thing about Vine way back in the day.
Oh
I mean,
man,
you could
Vine,
do
yeah.
short video clips on YouTube. You can do little wacky short video sketches on. I mean,
I'm
Instagram
still
started
I'm still
copying.
struggling with shorts on YouTube, but yeah, keep
Yeah.
going.
So for Vine having kind of a similar uniqueness to it,
Mhm.
they weren't able to sustain. And I wonder if the bottom falls out from TikTok at some point, or if TikTok manages to evolve in some kind of Snapchatty kind of way and becomes
That's true.
its own platform. Clubhouse, I think, is going to find even more difficulty. So I'll be curious to see if, in the light of competition from Twitter, we know
Mhm.
Facebook is working on a clone of
Oh,
this also.
absolutely.
I'll be shocked if there isn't some kind of podcasting service that also tries to replicate part of this business model. You know, I think about Spotify with town hall style discussions with the top Spotify podcasters.
With Joe Rogan going in there as a moderator, dude, you set that up right there, and like, boom,
And
everybody's there.
and you lock it into Spotify as a service. You know, like I feel like Clubhouse is in such a more precarious place, but they built on this vibe of like FOMO, of access to famous people.
Yep.
You can still go and find any number of rooms where a celebrity will be talking about what it was like to work on a movie, and everyone's super impressed with that. Like, if Clubhouse can maintain that kind of momentum for just a little bit longer, does it become another TikTok?
It depends on from my short experience with Clubhouse, I found to be very much it's a very different kind of experience. Realistically, I feel like I would much rather use the service because of the exclusivity. That's one thing that also kind of drove me. For me to use Clubhouse, I have to fire up the 11 Pro Max. Nothing's wrong with that. But it's not my daily driver. It's not a phone that I use on the daily. So for me to actually use their service, it goes out of my way. Right now, obviously, Spaces are also available only on iPhone, so that's another thing. Like, I saw the tweet from Issa, that was kind of what tipped me to actually that it's available. But not only it's available from somebody that I'm following, that I'm able to jump into a room and kind of quickly see how it is. So it's kind of like that instant kind of access. I think from what I've seen from both, it's the exact same experience. You're right. It's the clientele. It's the people that are able to log in and share their experience on being on the set, or, sharing their, how they were able to build a million subscriber channel, blah, blah, insert X, Y, and Z accomplishment and sharing experience from. We want to be able to start seeing how that kind of develops, because Twitter is a little bit different. And, the audience on Twitter is definitely very more vocal, more polarized in a sense. And to get people of like-minded to kind of go into a room and keep things, I would say, organized, or in a, maybe moderated correctly, this is where I feel like Twitter needs to figure out a way of how to do this. The room I was in earlier today was just me hanging out with Max. So that was the concept that I had. It was Max unfiltered, and that's who Max is. But I don't think that's the same approach that I would have, if I jumped into a Clubhouse right now, which is a little bit different. I do want to mention, though, Clubhouse needs to figure out a way to limit moderators, because 11 moderators to one room, it makes no sense. It's like, there's some rules here and there.
If 2 moderators are good,
11
then more.
No, exactly. Rolando from what's it called, from My Tech Reviews, posted it on Twitter one time. He said, he's like, I'm in a room with 11 moderators right now. I'm like, yeah.
But here's also what's kind of interesting is again why I'm a little dubious of Clubhouse.
Mm-hmm.
When I've tried to look for things on Clubhouse, it is very difficult to get a good lay of the land. Mm-hmm. They're trying to cultivate content based on the people you follow and the rooms that you've been in. Ooh, look at this. This is super fancy. I like this mask.
We're trying to elevate the production style here.
I like, this is like a Tron Legacy.
This is my Clubhouse, man. This is how we do it.
So I feel like we should also drop the lights, get a fat beat going. So anyway, sorry. I'm going through. Yeah, see, that's what I'm talking about. That's sexy. So I'm going through Clubhouse and I'm trying to find something. I'm just trying to find anything to listen to. I'm still trying to find that first room that I was in the very first time I joined Clubhouse and had this amazing chat about movies. I haven't found anything nearly as fun. And I can't really get beyond just like the limited followers and clubs that I've joined. So on a whim, I go to Twitter and I just put in #Clubhouse, and I'm finding so much more stuff than what the Clubhouse app is giving me, that if there was going to be a Clubhouse competitor, hosting it on the social network that actually gives you #Clubhouse in an easier to search fashion makes way more sense for me. Like, if I'm going to find rooms to try and jump into and listen to people having real-time town hall style conversations, I could search for #Clubhouse. Or I could just go to all of the people that I'm already following on the established social network where I know the people that I'm
And
engaging with,
you want
and
to be
it's all
able to
right
engage
there.
with them. Exactly. So my only thing I would probably say is Clubhouse and Twitter right now are dealing with a very similar thing to the way TikTok and Instagram are dealing. TikTok's success is because TikTok does one thing and they do it quite well. They create a wormhole in time and space, and you disappear for 30 minutes and you come back out of the other side feeling like, I can't believe I just spent 30 minutes watching people. Yeah, you get that feeling. But Instagram still is at its core an image or in a short video experience kind of a sharing platform, and reels are a secondary thing. You still have to find reels, and like you said with Twitter kind of works the exact same way. Right now, if you're in Twitter and you scroll down from the top and you're away from stories, you don't see spaces. So spaces becomes a secondary thing. So Twitter needs to figure out an ingenious way to, once they do create that or we make it more functional, to allow it to stand on its own. Maybe give it its own tab at the bottom of the search, as opposed to just notifications, search profile. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
The UI elements have to be done correctly here, so that people do see it and engage with it more often. If they make it as a secondary thing, honestly, I feel like then Clubhouse has a better chance of succeeding and prolonging the success, because that's what it is. You know, like they do that one thing and they do it so good. Kind of like not that I'd be like, you know, but like destruction porn kind of like videos and stuff with Jerry Rick, everything. He
Right.
does one thing and he does it very good. That's why you go watch his channel, right? Aditya knows what I'm talking about.
Yeah, the specialization makes sense, and especially on top of, so the one thing I've got to say though is, for all of the focus of how you jump in and out of rooms, Clubhouse has a significant discovery problem where
It is absolutely, yeah.
I'm trying to use the product more, even for some of my security concerns, and I'm really struggling to find the content that I would want to consume. You follow a bunch of techies and a bunch of voiceover actors. That's all we're going to give you. And like
Yeah,
trying to step outside of that to get, movie commentary, to get film fans, to get discussion.
you have to already have followed them to try to find that the hashtags aren't used correctly and rooms are named in weird ways.
Yeah.
You know, like boss chat, as much as I appreciate the title, doesn't really tell me what the conversation is. You
It's
know,
for bosses, TK. Maybe be
and,
a
and
boss. All right.
but what if I wanted to have a, you know, regular guy kind of day kind of conversations, like
Hey,
regular guy chat or regular person chat,
how about that?
middle management, exactly. You know, set the bar at the lower level. You know,
Scale
it
it back a bit.
it was very hard. I would agree with you that most of the, so the way it kind of started for me originally is like I was followed Viper. I was in a room the whole bunch of time where Viper was in there. I saw a few creators that I liked, and I start tagging. That it's the discovery is a little bit weird. Like it's discovery by following people because you see them or you're in a room, but you have to spend hours listening and you have to kind of look for it. So that part to me felt like unorganic. I ended up, for the most part, honestly, with the exception of a couple that I didn't follow before, I literally would follow everybody I'm following on Twitter.
Yeah.
You know, it was basically Isa, Super Saf, a few of my Arabic, buddies that I also have that are big creators there.
Right.
And that's how I was able to I got into one of the most exciting rooms that I was able to get into, and that was in Arabic, because Saf was actually on a panel on an Arabic podcast, Arabic room, where somebody was translating his questions and answers and back and forth. But I enjoyed that the most. And at the end of the whole thing, they invited me up to talk, and I talked with people. That made more sense to me. I felt like, okay, so this makes sense what Clubhouse is about.
Mm-hmm.
But that was that one time.
Same with me. I
haven't been able to replicate it. And
jumped into a room and was like, hey, what are your favorite movies and books of every genre? And for like 2 hours, I mean, again, and it was 2 hours of like, this could have been a cinema history podcast. It was
exactly
amazing.
Yeah.
I have not been able to find, I followed everyone in that room. I have not been able to find a conversation like that since. And I'm really tired of kind of jumping into a room and Oh, let's talk about the business of YouTube. Have you considered what keywords you're using on your videos?
A lot of rooms are like that. Unfortunately, it was so, it was weird. The room was in when I was in with Max on on Twitter. That's exactly what they were talking about Clubhouse. It was just like, okay, it's just like it's the cool kids talking about the other kids kind of conversation. But
Yeah.
we'll see. We'll have to see how it goes. I'm excited to see the fact that we're seeing more options, more available options.
Well,
And like you said,
the idea definitely is there's something interesting about taking what we do with like Twitch,
mhm,
community based approaches to conversations, taking an audio only focus,
yep,
just human voice. I love that. You've got me, 90% there if you say it's just a voice only app, because we've had struggles with like, how do you host audio? What do you do with podcasts?
hmm
And adding that community town hall, I would like to raise my hand and address something with this community. It is so organic to
yep.
how we communicate as a species. When there's a group of us, I'm very interested in where this could go. I'll be I'll be surprised if Clubhouse actually sticks the landing. I'll be honest, like security issues, discovery issues, expanding the platform and
They
managing the platform as
I
you're.
was about, yeah, exactly.
But I'm hoping we see at the end of this some method of continuing this. Like just if Clubhouse doesn't make it, I'm just happy that it's not going to die with Clubhouse.
I was gonna say, yeah, at least we're starting to see that Twitter sees the value of it, and I think there is a space for it. It's no pun intended, but there's a space. I
You
swear that's what the guy at Twitter said. He's like, "What do we call it? You know what? There's another space here." It's like, sure, we'll call it Spaces. Um, there is a reason for it to exist. When I was in that room that I enjoyed, I felt like the process was very well done. The raising the hand, the listening in, the graphical. I wish there was a dark mode, but that was just me. Anyways, like no, seriously, like one. Come on, it's 2021. Dark mode should be an option. I mean, and iOS offers us dark mode, but no. Anyways, that was one thing that I liked about Spaces. Spaces matched if you have dark mode turned on Twitter, automatically turned it on. So it was you didn't have to worry about it. We'll have to see. I'm I think Twitter has some work into it. I can tell you though that the speakers in Twitter were able to see me in there, and they were like, Max was like, "Hey, TK, you want to come up and talk?" Blah blah blah. And I was like, at the time I was getting ready for our podcast, so I didn't have enough time to invest into it. So I kind of like I docked and then jumped out, but I tweeted it. But I wouldn't mind maybe at some point if once we get the update in there to maybe we should start a chat at one point, you and I, getting into that, bringing in a conversation and having people just join in, our followers from Twitter, everybody that's in the chat here as well, just to see how to get it kind of going. And you never know, magic could happen.
It could.
Yeah,
Actually, I think with this community, it probably would.
I would love to be able to get there and just having Gary start, go up on stage, and I'm calling it the stage because this is where you've blurred the line between Clubhouse and Spaces. But have Gary, have Aditya, have Rolando, Jason's in there as well. Just be able to communicate and talk, right? Like having that open conversation. It's truly, that's what I enjoyed, and I think we'll have to see, but I think we just need to get it rolled out of beta. For Android, because I feel like I don't know how long before when Android does end up getting it.
Yeah, well, and hopefully, like when they do,
We still don't have voice memos, by the way.
when they do push it to Android, that Android phones will hopefully have microphones.
I've heard rumors that may be going away.
That hopefully maybe with the Galaxy S22 they'll have like microphones and speakers.
There was a comment, I don't remember if it was Aditya. Aditya was going to say the S22 will have a will have a separate battery option that you can buy for the phone. It won't come included. The phone comes without a battery.
Or was that Jason? I think Jason said
that.
Was
it Jason? I'm sorry. Yeah.
No, Aditya's joke I think is usually like next year they're just not even going to put the phone in the box. That's how they're going to save the environment. I was watching Tech King's Mike stream, Tech King Mike's stream. And he's seriously thinking about returning his Galaxy S21 Ultra. And
I would have if I had gotten the fact that they were going to drop it by 200 before my return policy time was out, because
well,
it was that timing just
yeah.
perfect.
Again, I mean, one of the points I brought up in my video was like the reason why I feel these conversations need to be a bit more direct when it comes to Samsung is we're gonna hype. Anyone who goes in early has to know that the phone is gonna get a massive price cut. Now in what, under 3 weeks. So anyway,
It was magic.
but for Tech King Mike, he was talking about like, hey, I've got this Galaxy S21 and I traded in a phone and I got a watch and I got these earbuds, and I'm still spending like $800 or $900 on this whole package.
Mhm.
This
Yeah.
is a complete package from Samsung. Still doesn't have a charger or a way to plug in headphones. I still need to buy more.
Speaking of which, I do apologize. Did I include a charger for you in the box?
Nah, it's fine.
I wanted you to get the whole experience. But yes, keep going.
Well, I mean, I got the whole Samsung experience.
That's exactly what I meant, my friend.
When you run the phone down, you just throw it away and buy a new one, right?
That's pretty much what we're actually supposed to
charge it. They don't give you a charger, so you're good. So sorry, I'm making this really goofy, but it's he's pulling all this stuff out, and like, it would be really nice if we could stop pretending that there was some altruistic reason for Samsung walking this path. And he's really lit up about the claim of like, well, by not making the packaging bigger, this is a benefit for the environment. There's less phone packaging waste that you're going to throw away, and that's better. And he's like, let me show you how they shipped my Samsung earbuds. And he shows this little teeny box of Samsung buds, and he pulls out this like it's
the Amazon approach to shipping. Yep, the Amazon
it's full
approach
of packing material to keep the buds from like just totally bouncing all around. And you're like, I got the phone in a separate box, I got the watch in a separate box, I got the earbuds in a separate box, and Mike drives a truck. So there were shipping and fuel expended for each one of these products. And the only thing, like the only thing that makes sense is, well, I mean, not that, but the only thing that really groks is when Samsung says that this is better, it means that it's better for them to ship the phone because they can fit twice as many phones on a pallet by shrinking the box, and you get to pay for completing the experience,
the whole transaction, and the exertion of all of the energy, the packaging, the bubble wrap, and all of the things that you're right. No, I was in the same boat. I didn't get him individually as he did for everything. But there was a few of my cases were shipped out separately. The phone was shipped out by itself, and I didn't go for the watches and things like that. I mean, I've already kind of the short answer is it's comic. It's really like comical to this point. When Apple first said it, I was laughing. I was like, "Are you serious?" And who's looking at them and saying with a straight face, like, "Oh yeah, totally." And then Samsung does it, and now we're like, they're drinking their own Kool-Aid. This is weird. Like, how do you look at yourself in the mirror? But then the reality is, so let's just say this: if Xiaomi is a good indication that other OEMs are not going to follow in the footsteps. In the China market, they give the consumer the option of buying the device without a charger if they have the existing charger, or they could choose the exact same price, no additional cost, no premium or anything.
They'll ship it with the charger.
And they'll ship you the packaging with the standard size and everything. They're truly leaving it to the consumer. I feel like that's a much better approach. And then for the global market, they decided to keep everything in there. They're including a dongle, dude. You know what dongles are? They're including one in the box. So they're like really wanting you to listen with headphones. So I'm hoping that when we start seeing some of the announcements in the next few weeks, because we have the Red Magic 6, I think, was it the next generation of Red Magic's coming up in the
on it. I'm hoping. I just sent back, Ricky let me borrow his Red Magic 5S.
So I saw you had the 5S. I was like, dude, cool. I never got a chance. I played with a 5 early last year, but the 5S definitely, I love that metallic look. That looks really, really sexy. No. So there's rumors saying that basically in March we're going to see the ROG Phone 5, not the 4, the 5. We're going to see the Red Magic. We're going to see Red Magic coming out. Oppo's coming out at some point. OnePlus is going to come out.
Yeah, didn't you see there was that leak on the Find, wasn't it?
So yeah, no, there was the whole series of the Find, right?
Yeah,
it was John. Was it Poser? I keep saying his name wrong. Yeah, so it was basically Prosser. Sorry. There was the Find X3, Find X3 Neo, Find X3 Pro, and something I saw somewhere else where they said that the Reno 5 Pro 5G, the longest name Oppo phone I've had, will be rebranded in a version of a Find device. Yeah. So the short answer is I'm excited to see what Oppo has to offer, but those are going to be, obviously the companies are going to be setting the tone. Do they follow Samsung's footsteps, or do they stand by the consumer and provide them the experience that they promised them?
Yeah.
They promised us a fast charging, include the fast charger that gives you that fast charging, because it's hard to try to figure out which charger works correctly when you don't have one, if you have to buy it separately.
Yeah.
So for me, those are the things I'm looking forward. So my hope is that Samsung's approach will be very quickly course corrected by its own division that they feel like they're on top of. If everybody else changes the conversation, trust me, Samsung will change it, because they can't bow to Apple, because they don't really compete with them as much as they think they do.
They just lose ground to Apple whenever they make missteps. And again, that's kind of why I'm so. And from my earlier points in this podcast, those are obviously more North American focused, because, of
course,
between Samsung and Apple, we're talking 80% of the smartphone market. So I feel like there's already a trend in the United States where Android company, probably Samsung, did something to upset me. I'm just going to go buy an iPhone, and
because it just works, right?
That direction happen way more in on one side than we ever see people leave the Apple ecosystem to go back to an Android. So to talk about just real quick, because I know we don't want to run too late, but I gotta share like my big oopsie of the week.
Oh man, I've been waiting for. I was like, I thought you were gonna bring that in the middle of the beginning of the show. So
no, I mean, like I feel like we didn't need to interrupt other conversations. It's really not that important. I just need everyone to laugh at me for a minute, because this one's pretty good. I'm serious. I mean, like if some of the issues with the 888 are really on the SoC and not about refining and app improvements and optimization, it could be that I end up keeping my SIM card in a phone from 2020, right? Just the performance is right where I like it, and they seem to be doing really well. So I thought, you know what, I should probably look at a better case to protect my V60. Because I have a cheap bumper, but it's already kind of one of those clear bumpers that gets all gross when you let dust settle on it for too long. And I usually keep my phone in the dual display case anyway. But dual display case is hard to use when you want to put it in like a tripod or in a mount. I mean, car cradle.
The pressure on the side and the actual fit doesn't work, because it creates a weird. It's not ergonomically correct.
So I mean, I'll take it out of the dual display case to put it in my car mount, which is the worst. Like if it falls out of that car mount, it's gonna go clattering around.
Car crate, by the way.
Car crate. Yeah, people know what I'm talking about.
What do you put in your car, man?
Butcher words all the time. I called the S21 the S20 like 3 times in my video.
We knew what you meant. We're good.
I was looking it up on Amazon, and I see like this looks like a really rugged case. Let me get it. This is the what is it called? The Love May LOVEMEI.
I thought you were making an offer,
TK Love Me.
Now. That's what I thought. That's what I thought I heard. But anyways,
so I got this, and it's ginormous. So I was thinking like, hey, I'd get like a really good bumper just so I could pop in the V60 whenever I just want to use it as like a regular phone. Oh, no. The sides and the screen trench are bigger than a OnePlus 8 Pro. Like a OnePlus 8 Pro fits in this
in the screen
and rattles with room to spare. And then these are not design accents. It's not these aren't like just
Alan
aesthetic.
Screws. Oh my god. Okay. This is the case that says basically when you're out there, I want to change cases, but I don't have the right screwdriver.
Hold on, let me break out my Allen keys. And 6 of them. So it's at the corners and then 2 in the middle. So this is not going to be the case for me.
So when are we going to get the drop test though? This is my question. When are we going to get that old school Josh back from Android Authority, Juan standing at the corner looking at the camera? He's like this, 1, 2.
It made me so sad when Tony made me do drop tests on those Kyoceras, because it's like at some point they're gonna break. You know?
Oh no, absolutely. There was that Moto Force, right? Or no, that wasn't the Moto Force. It was a Moto G. I forgot. There was a one Moto, but you know what? Honestly, it to Kyocera's, Trident orange. Oh my God, that just looks. It's not that. Does it come with a glass protector? Because it's a mirror finish.
Got a built-in screen guard.
It's a mirror finish though. Like how's the visibility?
Oh, it's not bad. I mean, this is more because the light coming off.
Oh, okay. I was gonna say when you held it up forward. Oh, okay, yeah, that's not that bad.
But because of there's ever, you know what, like whenever you get those like built-in screen guards, there's almost always like a light texture to the plastic. This one does have kind of
the dot texture. A little bit.
Dot messes up your fingerprints. You've got to rescan your fingerprints. So I don't think this is going to be the keeper. I think
so. It's not a
win. Be like if I ever do a desert location shoot and I have to worry about my phone in like ultra crazy, rugged, rocky conditions, I'll pop it in this.
Question
but I got to find a different bumper.
On the back of on the camera sensors in the back, are they covered or are they exposed?
Yeah, all of this is covered.
Oh wow.
So it's a covered plate.
Oh, it's a full-on. It's a full-on cage. That's a Faraday cage.
Everything is raised.
Not a Faraday. Yeah.
Well, that's what I haven't tested yet. It seems to be working fine on Wi-Fi. I have no idea.
Yeah, how cellular is going to be.
If this is going to interrupt LTE or 5G signals, so we got to test that too.
You got it.
But yeah, big knobby port covers, like an armor door for the headphone jack.
Kudos on the reinforcement. I have to say this much. If you're looking for a rugged case, I wouldn't have gone with the orange case though, but they definitely they take the cake there with the level of protection. How much was it, by the way?
It was like 25.
Oh, so that's not that bad. Not bad actually for that level of protection that you're getting. And like I said, if it was for the level of work that you're trying to think it, like outdoors, you want to make sure you're protecting it and all the time. I feel like this definitely does the job. For some reason though, with that case, it's giving me Bender vibes. I don't know why on the back, like heavy.
Oh no, it totally is, especially because that's like Bender's like eye socket.
The whole eye socket, yeah. No, but it wasn't as much when it was just because we got the white ones, right? It wasn't as pronounced. I think on the blue one was a little bit more, but once you put that in the case, all you see is the eyes like this.
Well, and so I was laughing because I really like UAG cases. And so on my Pixel 4 case, they've got these fake rivets in the corners. They're just aesthetic. There isn't anything practical to this.
Oh, yeah. This one doesn't have mine doesn't have, actually, no, this one does have it. Yeah. They have them in the, right.
Super adorable. They're not functional. So I pulled this out and I'm like, oh, cool. But how do I open this case? And I'm literally like, I'm trying to pry at the sides. And then I had to read the instructions to see that under the sheet that they provide you, there are these little Allen wrenches. And that's when I went, oh no, I have made a mistake.
You should have read the fine print, my friend. Did they provide you with the Allen key? That's the question. If they didn't, okay, thank God. That would be
there's a little tray, and I mean, to their credit, they also give like a microfiber and an alcohol swab because you'd want to clean before you
enclose it and well, yeah, but I mean, technically, it's still somewhat open at the bottom if you think about it, because the USB-C has to be open, the speaker has to be open. But yeah, no, you got the whole thing. Dan, that is
it's hilarious. So I mean, this case is brutal, and if you absolutely like, my uncle was a firefighter, and he like for a while he was rocking a Kyocera Brigadier in a bumper case.
Kyocera makes some really tough tech, yeah,
right. Sure. And he would still put something on. So I mean, like if my uncle, the firefighter, were still in active duty, Like I'd be like, hey, you should check this out. Like you've got to use an Allen wrench, just get the phone in there. I think he would be all about that.
Sony tech. Oh man, every ticket autofocus. I have to say, guys, honestly, this is not this to throw any kind of, but we need to get Juan to be able to do the autofocus like this.
Yeah,
guys,
I'm on a
like
Panasonic.
right
I know it sucks.
I tease, you know, I do it. It's
Hold on,
it's
I'll do the cheap version of this, and we'll go whoop. Oh yeah, look at how great that was, and then I'll just go whoop. Totally
we'll do it
seamless.
in post. When this video goes live, guys, we're gonna edit out that whole scene that Juan just did, and we're gonna replace it.
No, something tells me that's the only part of our podcast that's gonna get cut out and then put out on some.
I was actually gonna cut this piece out and put it at the beginning of the show to start off the show with you trying to do this and this and yeah.
All I'm saying is that last bit is gonna play like gangbusters on the audio version of this podcast. So.
Or if somebody decides to gift that thing and put it straight on Twitter, but you know it's.
Well, I feel like kind of getting to this. I feel it's the right time just to kind of reiterate your big day coming up with Sony. I've got a fun conversation with Dr. Ian tomorrow. I want that phone back so bad.
I only have a few more days with it. Its timing is so precious. Yeah, I tried streaming on LTE and 5G. It's pretty good. It's actually really nice. Yeah. Ultra wideband is great, but you know what? 4G and 5G is in good signal. It's pretty decent.
It did really well when we did our co-stream.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, you were doing LTE and so yeah. Timing is of the essence. But a few more days. If you guys haven't had a chance to check it out, they're having a great show on Sunday. I know it's at the same time as the Golden Globes, but if you're not watching the Golden Globes, you can watch us.
Yeah, but check out #B Alpha. Is that?
Yep.
Yeah,
that's the actual. Yeah, the B Alpha, or check it out over on my Twitter. I posted my video and then they posted it on their channel, on their actual account. So that was like really exciting.
But I should mention, like you do. I mean, it's not something you pay for, but you do have to register. Right.
You do have to register. It's a free event, and I think they're giving away some cool things. A cool thing.
No, they're really, not giving away anything. Don't try to win anything. Juan needs a new Sony camera, so Juan's no one else should try. And that's. But no, seriously, alphauniverse.com I think is the site, and if folks want to check that out, or again, go hit up TK's stream. You can also check out my social media, because on the day I'll be retweeting TK's appearances, because I want everyone to go and watch our boy.
Dude, I appreciate it. Thank you. And with that being said, I want to say thanks to everybody, obviously, for hanging out with us. Aditya, Gary, Greg as well, and Steve DeRoche as well. You know, all of you guys are holding the fort, are hanging out with us and kicking it with us on Thursday nights. And of course, to Juan Carlos, some gadget guy, some LG chill guy, some audio guy, some guy with a red hat because he didn't get the cue.
I changed it up this time.
I know, but I didn't. No, I'm just kidding. Oh yeah, I don't know if you guys like the new intro video. That worked much easier than last time. This time we got it embedded into StreamYard. So thanks to our guy, really amazing designer. I can't say good things about him. He's really he's a great guy. He works great, and he does really good work. And I'm loving the logo. It fits so well. It's weird, but it just looks like it was made to right. It looked like my logo was originally designed to fit this logo. This is that's the level that I'm looking at. So
that's how good he is, because your logo was boss before you ever adjusted it for my face.
Oh, dude, and on this, by the way, tomorrow's video is on some cool face masks. This was a face mask. I got this in. I have another full face one. So totally
dig it.
Very different stuff than you see usually from TK. But yeah, cool. Good night. Be safe. Stay safe. Thank you, Juan. Everybody. We'll see you guys next week on another best of our week. It'll be episode 12, post our Sony event on Sunday, and we'll recap all the cool clips and we'll chit chat with you guys. Take care, everybody.
Good night.